Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Spice of Life variety show. We count it a dear pleasure and an honor of being in your presence. We bring you greetings from the West Angeles Church of God in Christ, where Bishop Charles E. Blake and Mrs. May L. Blake is our pastor and first lady. We invite you to grab your pen and your paper. Contact information will be shown at the very end. We would love to hear from you. I'm here with my dear co-host, Evangelist Pamela Webb. Pamela, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Dr. Lewis?
I'm fine, and we're looking like twins in
we
our
always
red.
coordinate. Something's going on, right?
Just flowing in the spirit, girl.
All right. You know, because of Spice of Life variety show, you really don't know what to expect. And so we're going to have a tremendous guest with us, because we have a variety of guests.
Exactly.
But we're going to meet someone special.
Oh, wow.
And today we're going to meet Assemblyman Mark RidleyThomas. All right, Assemblyman.
Assemblyman Mark RidleyThomas.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much.
I'm glad to
All
see
right.
you.
Thank you, and thank you as well.
Yes.
All right.
Well, we certainly value your time, so we're just going to dive right in.
All right.
And meet Mr. Assemblyman Mark RidleyThomas.
Okay.
Where do you hail from? Where were you born, Assemblyman?
Right here in the city of Los Angeles.
In the city of the angels?
That's correct.
Wow. I thought maybe you might have been from New York or someplace like that.
Not quite. Right here in Los Angeles. Grew up on the east side of Los Angeles, raised by my grandmother. After having experienced the traumatic death of my mother, who passed when I was 9 from breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
And so my concern about the issue of breast cancer in terms of my work
Right.
as a legislator and in the legislature as one who's concerned about women's health is in part related to
Wow.
that very experience early on in my life.
Wow. Well, I know that I must just take this moment,
Yes, right,
Pamela,
that's right.
and just say how happy I am to be friends and sisters and brothers with you for the last 40 years.
That's right.
And I've known that you have been a compassionate person. We started elementary school together,
That's
on
right.
up through
High school.
through
That's
high school, and so.
Emmanuel Arts.
And you know what, Pamela, he was really, I knew he was destined to be great, even in elementary school.
Oh, okay.
Because he always had this leadership, just air
Yes,
about him.
It was there.
It was there. It was there in elementary school.
Wow.
Well, she's been a great supporter.
Very good. Your cheerleader on the side, huh?
All the way to, from the sock hops and all the way up to even now when I visit West Angeles, I feel the embrace of her spirit, and it's very important.
Well, now, you both had the same last name, is that correct?
That's right.
Well,
That's
that was
why
another kinship.
That's
right.
why we adopted each other.
That's right. We've adopted each other for many
Exactly.
years and referred to each other in that way.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I'm just so, again, honored
Yes.
that you're here. Talking about names, and I just want to jump for a second. You're married to the lovely Mrs. Avis RidleyThomas. Now, I don't find many situations where the man takes on the maiden name and etc. Because Ava's name was Ridley.
That's correct.
And yours now is Mark RidleyThomas.
That's correct.
Enlighten us. How did that come to be? That was, which is a true gift to a
Right,
woman.
yes.
So how did that come to be?
Probably through an ultimatum. But Avis and I have been married for now 25 years, and
Wow.
we celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary on
Awesome.
August the 4th of this year.
Congratulations.
And really, I think it's an expression of our solidarity, a symbolic way of communicating publicly our joining our lives together is what it meant then and what it means now. And it was also a way of my expression of my interpretation of humanity as persons who are created equally in the image and likeness of God. And so a lot of that was built into it, and it has served our relationship well over these
Wow, 25.
literally a quarter of a century.
Well, you get all kind of brownie points. 'Cause I
Yes.
like both of your
Yes.
reasons as to why you joined the name.
Really?
I was privileged to be at the wedding,
Yeah.
and something else you guys did that was
Yeah.
unique. You came in together.
That's correct.
Before you got married,
Yeah,
and I had never seen that.
Oh, so they started off different.
They
So
started-
that, so that was, yes. Right.
We innovated in a number of ways, and I'm grateful for Avis. I mean, that which I've been able to accomplish is in no small measure attributable to her support, her leadership, her insights, and a lot of the ideas, I will say very freely and publicly, that I've implemented have in large measure come from her. And I'm not at all at a loss to provide examples of that.
Well, that is so
That's- isn't
great.
that
Yeah.
awesome?
That is just awesome. You have two sons. Do
I
you see them? Any one of them fall into your footsteps in politics?
We have twin boys. They are now 17. They're about to graduate from high school and are vigorously completing college applications and so forth.
I remember that.
Yeah, you know, it's a lot to that.
Tell me
So
about it.
this is a time of high anxiety.
Do they want to attend the same school or?
They are open on that question.
Okay.
They have some schools that they are applying to in common, and they have others that are not the case. So
Okay.
they are a bit agnostic on the question of whether they should go to the same school. So that's interesting. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they ended up at the same school, which would be fine with me and hopefully fine with them. So as to their career pursuits, they have an interest in government, interest in public service, interest in politics. It's not their top tier interest necessarily,
Right.
but frankly, when I was their age, perhaps I was interested in politics, but I don't know that I was.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that I would have thought that I would be an elected official necessarily. I had a sense that I was interested in public service and community leadership, but that didn't necessarily translate into being a city councilman as I was for nearly 12 years
Right.
and now a state assemblyman.
Right.
I just knew that I wanted to help improve the quality of life of people in our communities across ethnic boundaries. I had spent a significant portion of my life being reared in the church and knew the unique contribution that the church played in how our community would grow, prosper, and how it had become what it has become in terms of overcoming obstacles and challenges. And I know the central role of the religious leader in our community.
Right.
So all of that meant something. And Tonya, you'll remember when we were at Carver Junior High School, April 4th, 1968.
Know the date.
The date Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated.
Exactly.
That's when the light bulb went on in my head.
Oh.
Really?
That there was something bigger
Wow.
than just the noon dance or the noon movie and
Yeah, the sock
and
hops.
then
Sock
sock
hops.
hops
The
and so
sock
forth.
hops.
There was I heard this powerful voice coming on the radio, KGFJ at the time,
Right,
as you
exactly.
recall,
KGFJ.
and
KGFJ.
that I have a dream speech, and from that point I went deep into study of Martin Luther King's philosophy. And so I do understand the centrality of the philosophy of nonviolence, and it's a part of the way I view the work that I need to do.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so great. And I don't
So
want
the
to
spark right there.
and I don't want to leave you out because you also went to Carver and Manual Arts. It was before we did, but
A few years before you did. Yes, both of you, yes.
It's all good.
But Assemblyman Thomas, what is misunderstood about you?
Misunderstood? Well, I don't know. Misunderstood was the savior of sinners. He died on the cross. He was God's only son. I think the seriousness with which I tackle problems sometimes causes
Ruffle.
people to be unsure of how accessible I am, and so it's maybe a little difficult for them to get over the hurdle of figuring out how to relate to me. That's at a very personal level. But that's not a new phenomenon.
That's not new.
No. That's just the package. I have a friend, Joanne Russell, that was at Manual. I remember some remarks she made very plainly at that time about me in student leadership. So it's just that. But I often tell people that I have the ability to say yes or no because I keep my mortgage low.
Okay.
I'm not indebted.
Right. See.
And I'm not easily dictated to. So the power brokers in and around the city, the county, and the state just can't tell me what to do. I represent people who elected me.
That's powerful.
And
that's
that's a little tough for some. I've worked very hard in public office, and it's well documented. And I attempt to do it in an honorable way. Sometimes people interpret that as self-righteousness, and it's off-putting, particularly those who get themselves in trouble in public office, which is easy to do.
Right, exactly.
It's easy to do, and it's happening with a high degree of regularity. And so I think that behavior is so damaging to the profession that is called public service until, in some instances, rather than condemn the individual, I do seek to speak to the behavior because it is why people are turned off to politics now, in part.
Okay.
That's part of it is. So, I mean, some of that is a part of why I'm sometimes misunderstood. Perhaps the largest example of being misunderstood was around the Santa Barbara Plaza, now Malton Square event, where it was thought that I was unnecessarily tough on Magic Johnson, and nothing like straight talk. I'm a public servant, a public official with a fiduciary responsibility, and my friendships don't supersede my stewardship. And I have great admiration and regard for any number of people, but in the business of trying to get a community cleaned up, revitalized, rebuilt, you are bound to run into some conflicts. And the conflicts relate to money. And developers want as much money as they can get to do what they wish to do. And that's just the way that game is played.
Right.
And I must tell you that I thought when I was elected to the city council, the most controversial issues that I would have to deal with would be police misconduct cases, police violence, and so forth. And of course, we had our share of that.
That's right.
We still do have our
Yes,
share of those
yes,
problems.
of course.
I did not realize that the more controversial matters would be land use.
Okay.
I mean, where you're going to put a supermarket, where you're going to put the housing, where, you know, and people get very, very, very agitated about
Okay.
these issues.
Okay.
And a lot of controversy surrounds that. And that's what happened in the case of the Malton Square project. The public sector was as deep as $50 million into that project that we were prepared to go forward. And at a certain point, a project has to go forward or it doesn't. Now, I can tell you that that wasn't the first project that I was tough on. It was just the one that had a national icon that was involved in it. But you can't get these projects built unless you say to developers, hitherto and no further.
All right.
And that's why we got as many senior citizen projects built. That's why we got as many markets built. That's why we got as many recreation centers built during my watch, because I was just unwilling to allow our community to be shortchanged and to be drug along the path of getting the projects done whenever people could get to them. And then we're looking around here at
Seeing how,
right. And it affects our property
Right.
value.
Right.
This is
Exactly.
where we
Goes
live.
down. That's
Exactly.
right.
It just go down.
It goes
Exactly.
And
down.
so my job was to help the property values go up, create jobs, make the community look better,
Right.
you see. But in order to do that, someone has to be willing to invest their resources.
Okay.
And the private sector's job is to do that. And the public sector's job is to try to facilitate those resources being invested and bring some dollars to the table as well. But the way the business is done, the private sector tries to wait as long as it can so the public sector can put more and more of its resources in. I think I'll leave it at that.
Well, you know what? I just want to commend you because I've taken note of your work as anyone who lived in L.A.
Right.
has. And I just want to commend you and say thank you for a job well done.
Thank you.
While you were serving us as our councilman and now on to greater doors, which is in our state assembly. Let me ask you, well, you've pretty much kind of said which accomplishments you're pretty much proud of,
Right.
what you've done, the senior citizens, because I think that's so key that our seniors be cared for.
Absolutely.
You know, they have
Absolutely.
invested, they lived their life,
Right.
they
Worked.
should be taken. Yeah, they
Worked.
should be taken
Yes.
care of.
And perhaps my signature achievement will be remembered as the Empowerment Congress, Pam and Tonya, because the way in which business is done from the public's perspective is the more people who know what's going on, the better the outcome will ultimately be.
Okay.
If you got a bunch of people who don't really know what's happening around them, anybody can do anything.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
true.
And so what I did, and am continuing to do at the state level, is making sure that we have informed citizenry. And so when you see me coming through West Angeles, not just on Sundays, but I'm there often unannounced
Right.
through the week, and Bishop graciously receives me. I'm delivering information
Right. Exactly.
because
Okay.
that's what he asked me to
That's
do.
true.
Exactly.
Roughly 15 years ago, when I first began as an elected official, he said, I just have one request of you. Just keep me informed.
Okay.
And that stuck with me.
Right.
And so I make it my business to provide information on critically important matters. And he listens, asks appropriate questions, tells me where he agrees and or disagrees. And I do that with a number of the religious leaders in our communities.
That's how you build the bridge.
That's right.
That's
Well,
Draw us together.
That's right.
And bring us together as one.
That's right. And we know what's going
What's
on.
going
Right.
on? That's
And we do it with the seniors group. We try to do it with youth, which are more difficult, the young people, because their lives are moving much more rapidly.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
not as a stable force, but we've placed energy in that direction, as well as in its energy well worth investing, because if we don't, then they are clearly lost. So it's the business of empowerment that I think is really most important about what I've attempted to do.
Well, I know you're always so serious-minded. Even
know. Does he
even
ever-
even,
does he
even in
ever-
elementary, he was so serious-minded. He was always in leadership too. He always led us.
so he was.
He was always the conservative one. Leading us. I was always like the radical one. You know,
Tonya was in the BSU.
power to the people.
I remember that little black leather coat she had.
And a natural? Did you have a
Yeah, of
natural?
course he had a natural. What you talking about?
Oh my
Mr.
goodness.
Kiwanis. Yeah.
Exactly. I wonder where's Mr. Kiwanis. But on that same note,
Yeah.
what are some of your hobbies, Assemblyman RidleyThomas?
Hobbies?
Yeah, how do you let your hair down?
Now you're getting personal.
We the people want to know. How do you let your hair down?
It was not difficult to find me walking with some regularity in the community in which we live. And I find it very relaxing. And I'm glad to be able to give good reports to my doctor when when he asks, "How are you walking?" And so we do that. I can't quite confess to being as avid a walker as Avis is. And the boys, of course, they're varsity football players. So
okay.
part of my hobby is supporting them and
Right.
being
Yes.
on point in that connection. And so those are some of the things that I do to keep myself refreshed.
Oh my goodness. What do you see yourself going from here?
That's a good question. I have aspirations in terms of public service, and it's to be direct about those avenues. The Senate is the next step at the state level, potentially. And then there's the County Board of Supervisors. That has always been an issue of concern for me. There's conversation about Congress, but I would say that I'm more interested in the state of California, the county of Los Angeles. And I've been very fortunate. I've been blessed in a variety of ways with a lovely family and a tremendous support network.
Right.
I was elected most recently with 89% of the vote.
Wow, fantastic.
And so I feel that God has richly blessed me and just smiled on my life. And being able to complete my academic work
Yes.
and so forth, all of these things lend themselves to a number of opportunities beyond public service, and so I'm very carefully evaluating them at this point.
Well, that's a nice, safe
Yes, it
political
is.
answer.
It is. That is very key. Now, you know, I'm a retired city employee.
Are you?
Now, would you have stayed with the city council if you could have stayed longer? Because it was, what, 3 years? What?
3 terms.
3 terms, and that was it.
Yeah.
Did you like being a city council?
Oh, I loved being a city council person, and whether or not I would have stayed, I mean, the work was so intense for me. I mean, remember, I came right before the Rodney King verdicts and the civil unrest, and I tell you, and Daryl Gates and all of that drama,
yeah, right.
you know. And I worked very hard for that entire decade. So, had it not been for term limits, it may be the case that I would have stayed. But I think, frankly, 12 years on the Los Angeles City Council would have been just about enough for me. I was 10 years at SCLC, and it was time to move on. And I went to the City Council, 12 years there,
So,
time to move on. At some point, these decades are going to run out. I know that.
but never mayor?
I considered that, but the politics of Los Angeles, and there's a part of Los Angeles that is probably a bit more conservative than what I could translate.
Okay.
And so you have to play to your strengths, and I don't have a bullet to waste, so I didn't think about that. But it was clearly one of the things that I had evaluated, and perhaps if I were to moderate my views to some extent, it would be something that I could consider.
Well, very good. We're down to the last moment of the show. And Assemblyman Mark RidleyThomas, what would you want to leave in a nutshell with our viewing audience?
Well, I would want to say that public service is honorable as a pursuit. And it becomes more honorable when more people are in it to keep the people who are in public office honest and accountable. It would seem to me that that's the message that I would like to deliver. Our communities deserve the very best that those of us who take an oath can give them. And I just hope for a higher level of performance.
Well, Assemblyman Mark RidleyThomas, your record has spoken for itself.
Thank you.
89% has spoken for itself. On a personal level, you know, your life has spoken for it. I just commend you. We commend you. We thank you so much for representing us, the people.
Thank you.
And to our viewing audience, we just want you to know that certainly our hearts have been blessed by being with the State Assemblyman today, and we don't take it lightly. And just know that we love you and that we're praying for you. And you never know what you may find on the Spice of Life variety show. Again, Assemblyman Mark RidleyThomas, thank you. And
Thank
God
you.
be with you.
Thank you.
And all your
Thank
future
you.
blessings.
Good. Thank you.
All right.